Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. This time, we're heading to India to uncover the secrets of Lothal.
Ooh, Lothal.
Yeah, it's a key site from the Indus Valley Civilization, and for this deep dive, we're using official UNESCO documents
Oh, very cool.
and resources from Gujarat Tourism. Now, the name Lothal itself translates to Mound of the Dead.
Mound of the Dead.
Yeah, which, might sound a little ominous.
It does.
But trust me, this ancient city was far more than just a burial ground. In fact, it was a bustling port city
Okay.
with a story that's going to absolutely blow your mind.
All right. I am ready to
Go
have
on.
my mind blown.
So to kick things off, I think what's fascinating about Lothal is how it challenges our initial perceptions about ancient civilizations. We tend to think of them as landlocked.
Right.
But the Indus Valley people,
Yeah.
they were exceptional seafarers.
Interesting.
And Lothal, situated 80 kilometers southwest of Ahmedabad, and dating back to 3700 BCE, it offers just a glimpse into their mastery of maritime trade and technology.
So, how long did this city thrive?
So we're talking about a city that flourished for centuries.
Wow, centuries.
Yeah.
That's incredible. I know.
No, it really is. So to kind of set the stage, picture this. It's 2500 BCE, and you're a merchant sailing from Mesopotamia.
All right, I can picture it.
After weeks at sea, you finally spot land. It's Lothal, a city strategically located on the Sagarmanthan River with access to the Arabian Sea.
Okay.
And here's the kicker. It boasts the world's oldest known artificial dockyard.
Oh, wow. The oldest known.
Oldest dockyard.
Yeah.
And we're not just talking about any harbor.
Okay.
Satellite imagery reveals an incredibly sophisticated design that harnessed the power of tides. So imagine this. A trapezoidal basin over 200 meters long and 35 meters wide connected to the river by a channel.
Whoa.
Inlet and outlet channels controlled water levels, allowing ships to dock even during low tide.
Now, that's some impressive engineering.
Talk about ingenious engineering, right?
Yeah.
This level of planning points to just an advanced understanding of hydrodynamics and a commitment to facilitating trade.
I mean, they really knew what they were doing.
It really makes you think about the scale of their operations.
I know, right?
Because we're talking about ships arriving from Mesopotamia, Egypt, Persia, maybe even farther.
Wow.
So what kind of goods do you think would be flowing through this ancient port?
Well, I mean, given what you said, it sounds like they were trading with a lot of different places.
Right.
So I imagine there would be a huge variety of goods.
Absolutely.
Maybe things like precious stones, beads, ivory timber, cotton, perhaps even spices.
All of that and more. You hit it right on the head.
Right.
The Indus Valley Civilization had this vast network of trade routes, and Lothal was a key hub in that network.
That makes sense.
Yeah, the dockyard itself would have been a site to hold a constant flow of ships, merchants bartering goods, and laborers loading and unloading cargo.
So it sounds like Lothal was a pretty bustling place.
It was. It was the place to be.
So we've got this incredible dockyard,
Right.
a testament to their maritime prowess. But Lothal was more than just a port, right?
Yeah.
The sources describe it as a planned city with distinct upper and lower town divisions.
Exactly. And this organized urban planning wasn't unique to Lothal.
Right.
It's a recurring theme in Indus Valley cities,
Interesting.
highlighting their advanced understanding of city management and social organization.
So they were ahead of their time in many ways.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So in Lothal, the upper town or citadel was likely home to the elite and ruling class,
Okay.
with its grid-like street pattern and access to key infrastructure. And then the lower town, where the dockyard was located, housed the workshops, residences, and marketplaces that fueled the city's economy.
So a clear division between the classes.
And I'm picturing this almost like a chessboard-like layout. A very intentional design.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
It speaks to their prioritization of order and efficiency. And then, within this meticulously planned city, we find evidence of specialized industries, like the bead-making factory you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
This wasn't just a hobby. It was a full-fledged production center with kilns tools and even raw materials like carnelian and agate.
Wow.
Beads were likely a major export item, further highlighting Lothal's role as a manufacturing hub.
They were a hot commodity. Those beads must have been highly prized, making their way across trade routes to adorn people in distant lands.
Yeah, I bet.
It's incredible to think about the reach of their craftsmanship.
It is.
But all good things, as they say, must come to an end.
That's true.
And Lothal's story takes a somewhat somber turn when we look at its decline.
Yeah.
The sources mention these thick peripheral walls initially built to protect the city from tidal floods.
So they were aware of the potential danger from the sea.
They knew, right?
Yeah.
These walls are massive, 12 to 21 meters thick.
Whoa.
A testament to their understanding of the potential threat from the sea. But it seems those very waters they so expertly navigated eventually turned against them.
Oh, no.
Evidence suggests a series of increasingly severe floods, perhaps exacerbated by changing environmental conditions, ultimately led to Lothal's demise.
Oh, that's sad.
It is. Imagine the struggle, the efforts to rebuild, the eventual realization that the forces of nature had become too powerful to overcome.
Yeah, you have to wonder what that must have been like for them.
I know. It's a poignant reminder that even the most advanced societies are vulnerable to the power of nature.
So the very waters that fueled Lothal's rise ultimately led to its downfall.
It's a story of innovation, resilience, and ultimately the humbling power of nature. It really makes you think about our place in the world, right?
For sure.
It does. So we've talked about Lothal's impressive dockyard and how it fit into this vast trade network. But I'm curious, what else can those traded goods tell us about the Indus Valley Civilization as a whole? Did Lothal play a unique role? Or do we see similar patterns at other Indus sites?
That's a great question. And it really gets to the heart of why Lothal is so valuable to archaeologists. You know, while the Indus script remains undeciphered, these artifacts act like pieces of a puzzle, helping us understand their culture and connections. And what's remarkable is that we find similar artifacts.
Okay.
Those beads, seals, pottery styles at other Indus sites like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, hundreds of miles away.
So it's not just that they were trading, it's that they had this level of standardization across such a vast area that speaks to a level of cultural and perhaps even political cohesion. That's pretty mind-blowing for a civilization this old.
Absolutely. It challenges the idea that ancient civilizations were always isolated and fragmented.
Right.
The Indus Valley people had a shared aesthetic, a common system of weights and measures, and clearly a sophisticated network for moving goods and ideas. Lothal, with its strategic location and advanced port, played a crucial role in maintaining this interconnectedness.
It's like imagining the ancient equivalent of a shipping hub today, connecting different parts of the world and facilitating the flow of goods and culture.
I like that.
And speaking of culture, we've touched on the physical aspects of Lothal, the city planning, the dockyard.
Right.
But what about the people themselves?
Yeah.
What do we know about their daily lives, their beliefs, their social structures?
Well, the sources we have, the archaeological reports, the UNESCO documents, give us some tantalizing clues. For example, remember those houses we talked about?
Yeah.
Relatively uniform in size and often equipped with indoor plumbing.
Right.
That suggests a level of social equality that's quite unusual for ancient civilizations. It hints at a society where basic needs were met for most, not just the elite.
It makes you wonder what kind of governance system they had in place.
Right.
Was it a democracy, a monarchy?
Yeah.
Sadly, without written records, it's hard to say for sure.
It is.
But those clues you mentioned paint a picture of a society that was perhaps more equitable than many of its contemporaries.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those clues extend beyond the houses themselves. The artifacts found at Lothal, from children's toys to intricately carved seals, suggest a vibrant and diverse culture. We find evidence of games, music, and artistry,
Interesting.
pointing to a society that valued leisure and creativity alongside its economic pursuits.
It's fascinating to think about what those everyday moments might have been like.
Yeah.
Families gathering in courtyards, children playing games in the streets, artisans creating those beautiful beads, and of course the constant hum of activity around the dockyard, connecting them to the wider world.
And that connection wasn't just economic. Remember those terracotta figurines and seals depicting animals?
Right.
They offer a window into their belief systems, suggesting a reverence for nature and perhaps a complex pantheon of deities.
Okay.
While the specifics remain shrouded in mystery,
Right.
it's clear that spirituality played a significant role in their lives.
It's like we're piecing together a mosaic of their lives.
Yeah.
Using these fragments of evidence to paint a picture of a complex and fascinating civilization. We've talked about their successes, their innovations, but we also have to remember their ultimate fate.
Yeah.
Lothal was eventually abandoned, a victim of those very floods that they initially sought to control.
That's true.
What lessons can we learn from their story? Does it offer any cautionary tales for us today?
That's a powerful question.
Yeah.
And It's one that resonates deeply, especially in our current era of climate change.
Yeah.
Lothal's story is a stark reminder of the delicate balance between humans and nature. While they were incredibly innovative, even their ingenuity couldn't withstand the overwhelming force of natural disasters.
It's almost ironic, isn't it?
Kinda.
The very waters that brought them prosperity, that connected them to the world, ultimately became their undoing.
It's a story of resilience, adaptation, and ultimately acceptance.
Yeah.
The people of Lothal tried to protect themselves, but they were eventually forced to abandon their city.
Right.
And while it's a tragedy,
Yeah.
it also reminds us of the importance of respecting the power of nature and the need to adapt to changing environmental conditions. Perhaps if the people of Lothal had access to the knowledge and technology we have today,
Right.
they might have found a way to coexist with the floods. But their story serves as a potent reminder for us to be mindful of our impact on the environment and to prioritize sustainable practices.
It's a sobering thought, but an important one.
Yeah.
Lothal's legacy is more than just the physical remains of a lost city. It's a lesson for future generations.
Right.
A reminder that even the most advanced societies are vulnerable to the forces of nature. But their story also inspires us.
Yeah.
The ingenuity, the creativity, the resilience they demonstrated, these are qualities that we can all learn from.
Absolutely. It's amazing how Lothal challenges our assumptions about ancient civilizations.
Yeah.
You know, we often picture them as rigidly hierarchical,
Yeah.
with a small elite controlling most of the wealth and power.
Right.
But Lothal and the Indus Valley Civilization in general,
It seems to have been different.
that's right. In the last part, we touched on the idea that Lothal might have had a more egalitarian society than many of its contemporaries.
Right.
Those relatively uniform houses, the advanced sanitation systems available to most residents, those are pretty compelling clues. But I'm curious what other evidence supports this idea
Okay.
of a more equitable society.
Well, one of the things that stands out in the archaeological record is the lack of ostentatious palaces or tombs.
Interesting.
In many ancient civilizations, the elite would go to great lengths to display their wealth and power
Right.
through grand architecture and lavish burial goods.
Of course.
But in Lothal, even the structures in the upper town,
Yeah.
presumably where the leaders resided, are relatively modest in scale.
So it's not that they lacked the skill or resources to build grand structures.
Right.
They just chose not to.
Seems that way.
It suggests a different set of values, maybe a focus on collective well-being
Yeah.
rather than individual aggrandizement. Precisely. And this idea is further reinforced by the distribution of artifacts.
Okay.
We find evidence of craftsmanship and artistry throughout the city, not just concentrated in elite areas.
Interesting.
It suggests a society where skilled artisans were valued and where beauty and creativity were woven into the fabric of daily life.
It's like imagining a city where everyone, regardless of their social standing, had access to a certain level of comfort and beauty. That's a pretty remarkable concept
I know, right?
for a civilization that existed over 4,000 years ago.
It is.
But let's zoom in a bit. What can we learn from the artifacts about the specifics of their daily lives?
Okay.
What did they eat? What did they wear? What kind of activities filled their days?
Well, as you might expect from a port city, seafood played a major role in their diet.
Makes sense.
We find fish bones, shells, and evidence of fishing nets,
Okay.
indicating that they took full advantage of their coastal location. But they weren't just fishing. They cultivated crops like wheat, barley, rice, and dates.
Oh, wow.
And they raised livestock like cattle, sheep, and goats. So a pretty diverse and balanced diet overall.
And what about clothing?
Yeah.
I'm picturing flowing garments made from cotton, maybe adorned with those beautiful beads they were so famous for.
You're not far off. While actual fabric rarely survives the ravages of time, we do find terracotta figurines that give us some clues about their fashion sense.
Okay.
It seems they favored draped garments, perhaps similar to saris or dhotis, often adorned with jewelry and ornaments. And yes, those beads crafted from carnelian, agate, and steatite were a key part of their personal adornment.
I can just picture the bustling marketplaces of Lothal,
Yeah.
filled with vendors selling colorful fabrics, intricate jewelry,
Uh-huh.
and of course those sought-after beads. But life wasn't all about work and commerce, right?
No, of course not.
What do we know about their leisure activities?
Well, we find evidence of games, music, and even toys,
Really?
suggesting that they valued play and entertainment. One particularly interesting artifact is a terracotta game board with dice, hinting at a game perhaps similar to backgammon. Imagine families gathered around these game boards enjoying friendly competition and laughter. And of course, Music likely played a significant role in their lives. We find terracotta flutes and other instruments, suggesting a love of music and perhaps even ritualistic dances.
It's amazing how these small objects, these fragments from the past, can offer such vivid glimpses into their world. We can almost hear the music, feel the excitement of the games, sense the community spirit that must have thrived in this bustling port city. But as we wrap up our deep dive into Lothal, I want to return to that question we posed earlier. What lessons can we draw from their story? What wisdom can we glean from a civilization that thrived thousands of years ago?
I think Lothal offers us a powerful reminder that progress and sustainability need not be at odds.
That's a good point.
The Indus Valley people were incredibly innovative, but they also lived in relative harmony with their environment for centuries. They understood the importance of planning, of managing resources wisely, of creating a society that valued both individual and collective well-being. Perhaps there's something we can learn from their example as we face our own challenges in the 21st century.
It's a legacy worth pondering, isn't it?
It is.
Lothal may be gone buried beneath the sands of time, but its story continues to resonate, offering us glimpses into a lost world and perhaps some timeless wisdom for our own journey. So the next time you hear the name Lothal, remember, it's not just a mound of the dead, but a testament to human ingenuity, resilience, and the enduring power of the human spirit.
And as with all archaeology, there's always more to uncover, more to learn. Who knows what other secrets Lothal holds waiting to be unearthed by future generations? The journey of discovery continues.
And that's the beauty of it all, isn't it? There's always another mystery to solve, another story to tell. So keep exploring, keep asking questions, and keep diving deep into the fascinating world of history. Until next time, happy exploring.